sexual orientation change therapy. It's helped thousands of people stand firm against same-sex attraction, yet opponents want it banned. This is the CitizenLink report. I'm Carrie Gordon Earll with CitizenLink's gender analyst, Jeff Johnston. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Carrie.
Good to have you back with us.
Thanks.
Jeff, this kind of therapy has several different names, but most commonly, sexual orientation change efforts, SOCE. And what we're talking about here is opportunities for people to resist same-sex attraction. Let's say they are believers. They want to live according to biblical values, and this is therapy specifically addressed to them. Now, this is controversial sometimes, and people want to ban it. What is the latest attack against this type of therapy?
Well, the latest attack is a bill that's now in the California State Assembly. It's already passed the Senate. It's SB 1172, and it would ban sexual orientation change efforts, or SOCE, for minors, anyone under the age of 18. And today there's a committee hearing on the bill in the House. Here's what the bill says. It says, under no circumstances shall a mental health provider engage in sexual orientation change efforts with a patient under 18 years of age, regardless of the willingness of a patient, the patient's parent, the guardian, the conservator, or other persons to authorize such efforts. And then here's how the bill defines sexual orientation change efforts. Sexual orientation change efforts means practices by mental health providers that seek to change orientation or reduce or eliminate sexual or romantic attractions, feelings, or behaviors because those attractions, feelings, or behaviors are directed toward persons of a particular sex or both sexes. So let's say you have a boy who was sexually abused by a man. One of the common consequences of this is that that boy will question his sexual identity. He'll question his masculinity, and he may even develop same-sex attractions as a result of that. Under this bill, a boy like that could not get any help. Similarly, a girl who's been sexually abused might question her femininity and her sexual attractions. So it's really an outrageous effort to stop these kind of therapies.
Now, this is in the state of California. We know what happens in California sometimes is exported to other states, so it is something to be aware of, that this is an effort to really shut down access to this type of therapy for some. Now, when you talk about psychological, you talk about counseling therapy, where do the professional organizations come down on sexual orientation change efforts?
Well, there's a whole group of professional organizations that have opposed the bill, and it includes the California Psychological Association, their Association for Licensed Professional Clinical Counselors, and their Psychiatric Association. They've sent a joint letter to the House and the Senate opposing SB 1172 as it's currently written. Now, these aren't conservative groups. They're not, they're not Christian groups. They're not necessarily conservative. In addition, NARTH, the National Association for Research and Therapy of Homosexuality, they strongly oppose this bill. And here's just a few arguments against it. First of all, you have politicians making decisions about mental health. Now, no group in the U.S., no professional organization has ever banned SOCE, but you have politicians stepping in trying to ban it. And secondly, the bill infringes on parental rights. It takes away my right as a parent to help my child live according to his faith or to deal with unwanted same-sex attractions. The bill also infringes on client freedoms. All the mental health professions recognize that as a client, I have a right to autonomy and self-determination. I get to decide which direction we're going to go in the counseling process. And this bill takes away that right completely. It also tramples on religious freedom. As you mentioned, if I believe that God's design for marriage is a man and a woman living together in a committed relationship, but I have attractions to the same sex, I wouldn't be able to get help to live out my faith according to this bill. And this bill just takes that away from any minors.
Now, when we're talking about the California bill here,
Yes.
that is not the only place that
No,
this
it's
type
not.
of therapy is being attacked, and we've seen this before, but there's another effort that's coming that's going after the actual therapists, the counselors, the people that are trying to help folks that are struggling with same-sex attraction. What's the root of that? Where's that coming from?
Well, it comes from counselors and activists within the profession who believe that it would be wrong to change your sexual orientation. So a couple of years ago, again in California, there was a group that went to the ethics committee for the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, all these groups with all these different initials, CAMFT. And they wanted to ban change efforts, any effort to change. So they went to the ethics committee, and the ethics committee and the board refused to do so. Here's what they said. They said, a client's right to autonomy must be respected, no matter what their position is on sexual orientation. Then they said, too, that therapists who practice sexual orientation change efforts must respect the rights of gay clients. So you can't push your own beliefs on a client. And at the same time, they said, gay-affirming therapists must respect the rights of clients with unwanted same-sex attractions to receive these therapies. So they said tolerance is a two-way street. It has to work both ways. But even more recently than that, there's been a national effort to go after therapists. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a liberal group based in the South, they launched a campaign against sexual orientation change efforts. They published an online map of different therapists who offer this kind of therapy. And they said, if you've been damaged or harmed by this therapy, tell us your story. They've also filed a lawsuit, well, not a lawsuit, but an ethics complaint against a psychiatrist in Oregon. So basically, they're targeting these therapists and they're trolling for suits against them.
So we're talking about therapy that we know helps people,
yes.
That gives them options in their life, that helps them live biblically, and yet it is under almost constant attack, not only by gay activists, but also by some within the psychological community.
Yes,
so.
there have been a number of people who have been helped by this, and they're trying to take away that help from these people.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us know about this, and
Sure.
we'll keep track of this issue because it is important for people to have autonomy as they're struggling with the issues that are before them on this. So,
yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. And thanks to all of you for watching, for letting us know what you're thinking by writing to us via email at mail@citizenlink.com. That's mail@citizenlink.com. This Thursday, the U.S. Supreme Court will be handing down its much-awaited ruling in the case of our federal health care law, Obamacare. And you'll want to be keeping an eye open for our webcast later this week. CitizenLink's judicial analyst, Bruce Houseknecht, will sit down with Stuart Shepard and look at how that Supreme Court ruling is going to affect people of faith in the issues that we care about. So keep an eye open for that later this week. And remember, stand tall and be heard.